Greetings to you all in the marvelous name of Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Welcome to Bible Got Answers. I hope that these videos are helping you to understand the book of Revelation and also apocalyptic literature. So today we are going to look at one of the famous question in the regarding the book of Revelation and regarding the apocalyptic literature. So we need to understand how to understand the book of Revelation and how to understand the literature named as apocalyptic literature. So what do you mean by apocalyptic literature? What is the apocalypse? What is the meaning of what is the word meaning of apocalypse? And what would be the methods that we can interpret the apocalyptic literature, and how we can understand the book of Revelation, how the biblical scholars understand the book of Revelations from different perspectives. Let's look at these questions today, and we will learn some of the lessons from the Word of God and from the biblical theology and from the historical theology and from the theologians' understanding. So from this point of view, we can understand that what is this apocalyptic literature and what is the apocalypse, and how we can understand the book of Revelation, how we can understand the literature named as apocalyptic literature, how we can understand the apocalyptic literature, and we will look into the different methods, especially the four methods. We will look into the how we can interpret the book of Revelation, how we can interpret the apocalyptic literature. So first of all, we need to understand these two words, apocalyptic literature and apocalypse. So if you understand these two words, then we can understand that what this literature represents and how we can understand this literature as well. So first of all, apocalyptic literature. Apocalyptic literature is a genre. So it's a genre, or it's a literature. Like in English literature, we have the poetry or prose or novel or different kind of literatural things are there in the English language. In the same manner, when we look at the prophetical language or prophetical writings, when we look at from Isaiah to Malachi, we can see the prophetical books in the books. There we can see the major prophets are 5 and the minor prophets are almost 12. So 12 minor prophets and 5 major prophets. There we can see that this apocalyptic literature is very much evident in that. We can see this in Isaiah, we can see this in Daniel, we can see this literature in book of Revelation. You can see it is in some of the passages in the synoptic gospels. So in that manner, we can look at this apocalyptic literature in a sense that this literature is very strange when compared to the other literatural things. So Bible is composition of, or Bible is combined with the different literatures. There we can see different literatures over there. So especially these prophetical writings, when the prophetical writings are written down, or from Isaiah to Malachi, or some kind of apocalyptic literature, where this apocalyptic literature is is one of the genre that is developed after the post-exilic Jewish culture. So where the Jews are exiled into the Babylon. After that, they were released at the time of Cyrus, and they were released, and it was very much popular among the days in the early Christianity. This apocalyptic literature deals with all the intentions, all the visions of the end times, how the end times are going to happen, and this kind of visions and symbolism, images, structure and numbers are very much used to represent the end times and represents the end time events. So if you look at this word, apocalyptic designates both Jewish literature and Christianity literature. So it was very much evident in the Jewish literature and as well as the as well as the Christianity literature. So if you look at this apocalyptic literature, it is very much used. This is the combination of different kind of symbols, different kind of images, different kind of numbers. So for example, if you take the if you take the Revelation chapter 13, there we can see the beast. So beast represents the Antichrist in the coming days, who is going to come on the who is going to come in the future, and who is going to rule the 7 years tribulation period. So in Revelation chapter 13, there we can see the beast. It's a symbolizing, and it's an image that the author is seeing at the end times what is going to happen in the future. So in that sense, if you take the number of 7, 7 represents the perfect number or perfection. So in that sense, 7, 24, 1,44,000, and in that sense, these numbers represent some kind of meaning in that. In that sense, this apocalyptic literature is the combination of symbols, images, numbers, and to represent the future events, to represent the end time events that is going to happen in the future. So this apocalyptic literature, if you look at there, this is the language that authors intentionally they used. Why? Because they want to explain, or they want to explain what they cannot explain in their own language. For example, they have the Hebrew language, they have the Aramaic language, they have the Greek language. In that sense, if they could not able to express the things that was revealed from the Lord, they could not able to understand, could not able to explain in their language, then they will use this kind of symbols, this kind of images, this kind of numbers, and so that the audience will understand by looking at these images, by looking at this structure, by looking at these numbers, and by looking at these images, so that this symbolism is very much famous in Jewish culture and as well as the Christianity culture. So this symbolism creates the mystery about the details regarding the place, time, and all those stuff. But what is the purpose of this symbolism? What is the purpose of this apocalyptic literature? When we look at this purpose, we can come to know this is not to create the confusion, but to give the hope in the difficult times, to give the strength, or to encourage the people, with the hope that that Lord is taking care of all things, and the Lord is in the control of everything. So that the followers of Christ will have the hope in Jesus Christ, so that they can endure the sufferings, and they can endure the difficult times. They can endure the trials and tribulations that are happening in the first that are happening at the time of all this time and place. When we look at this apocalyptic literature is not to create the confusion. It's to reveal what is there. If you look at the word apocalypse, this apocalypse is the word that comes from the Greek word apocalypsis, so which means reveal or uncover. If you look at there, it is reveal or uncover, laying open to view, a disclosure, to take off the cover. So if you look at if you look at a small kid, if you want to play with a small kid, so we can play with our hands. So just hide what if nothing is there in our hand, but if we just hide and play with the kid, then the kid is very much eager to know what is there in the hand. So it means when we just reveal, or when we just show up our hands, then the kid will be felt so happy and very very much happy. In that sense, this is the hidden things, which were hidden things until the authors written down. Those were the hidden things. But when the authors were written down, or when the authors were revealed with these symbols, images, and numbers, this is not to create the confusion. This is to reveal, or this is to uncover. This is to open up. This is to disclose everything what is hidden. So there is no mysteries in the Bible. There is no mysteries in the Bible. Everything is revealed. Everything is revealed. So everything is revealed in Jesus Christ. When we look at this word apocalypse is used for the book of Revelation. So that's why we call it as the apocalypse or apocalypse of the Bible. So if you look at this in the Bible, this word was often used. Apocalypse was often used to represent the end times and end times events, especially the second coming and the battle of Armageddon. So, in that sense, this apocalypse, this word apocalypse, represents the end times events and end times which are revealed through the knowledge of God, through servants by God. So in that sense, this apocalypse will be the ultimate revealing of God, His wrath and His love, His wrath and His justice, and then ultimately His love. So he is going to pour His wrath upon the unjustified people and those who are justified people, and so He is going to pour His wrath upon the sinners. He is going to pour His wrath on the sin and remove the sin from the whole world, and He is going to judge the whole world with the righteous judgment and with righteous justice, and then finally He is going to show His ultimate love, agape love, upon the whole world people and believers in Jesus Christ, those who are going to be with Lord Jesus Christ forever and ever. So if you look at this, we have looked at what is apocalyptic literature and what is apocalypse. So now we are going to look at how we can understand this apocalyptic literature. How we can understand this apocalyptic literature, how we can understand this book of Revelation. So we are trying to understand this book of Revelation, and what are the methods are there to interpret this book of Revelation, and how we can put these methods into the practice to interpret the book of Revelation and as well as the apocalyptic literature. So if you look at these methods, there are four methods of interpretation that we can practice into our life to interpret the book of Revelation and as well as the apocalyptic literature wherever it is. So these four methods. First of all, these four methods are preteristic method, futuristic method, and historistic method, and last one is the idealistic method. It is also called as the spiritualistic method. So these four methods are very much essential and very much crucial to understand the book of Revelation and the literature named as the apocalyptic literature. So first of all, we will look at this preteristic method or preteristic view or preteristic method. So if you look at this method talks about the past. This word preterism or preterio. So this is the Latin word, the preteria. It means past. Past means, so this method or the preterists love to look at this apocalyptic literature, look at this book of Revelation as a past event, and they believe that this all events that was recorded in the text are recorded in the Bible as apocalyptic literature and in the book of Revelation took place within the period of the time that is contemporary to the author, that is contemporary to the writer of that book. So writer of the book, if the writer of the book of Revelation is John, so when the John's time is end up, then the events that are recorded in the book of Revelations were closed, were ended up and were fulfilled in the past history. So that's what they believe. They believe that it is completely the past. They just use the symbolism. They just use the images. They just use the numbers to know the events that are happening in the John's time. So this especially if you look at for example, the book of Revelation, there this is the conflict between the Rome church and Rome. This is the conflict between the Roman church in that sense. So this preterism or preteristic point of view denies any content that is related to the prophecy, and there is no prophecy at all. Everything was fulfilled. That's what they believe. This preteristic viewpoint of view. Secondly, futuristic method. Futuristic point of view, it means by the word we can come to know that the future. It means they believe that these prophecies and this apocalyptic literature or this book of Revelation is going to happen in the future. Is going to happen in the future in the literal sense. In the literal sense, they are going to happen in the future. Whatever the events are, whatever the apocalyptic literature, whatever the text, or whatever the prophecies that are recorded in the Bible are going to be fulfilled in the future. So the preterism talks about the past, and this futuristic method, it is talking about the future. It means whatever the events that are recorded, that are going to happen in the end times, that are prophesied in the Bible, are going to be fulfilled in the coming days at the end time of the whole world. So that is about the futuristic method. This futuristic method is very much evident in the nowadays preachers and nowadays pastors, very much evident there. So this futuristic method was very much popular, and most of the Christians and most of the theologians believe in this futuristic method, futuristic viewpoint of view. So the third one is historicistic method. So historicistic method, by the word we can come to know this is about the history. This is about the history. So what they believe, it means the events or the things or the prophecies that are recorded in the Bible are going to be are fulfilling from the time of the author to the end of the age. From the time of the author or from the time of the writer. If you look at the book of Revelation, was written at the time of AD 95 to 105 in that sense. So from the time onwards, from the author's time onwards, from the written down the document onwards, from the time that the document was written down, or the book of Revelation was written down, from that time to until the end of the age, these events are going to be fulfilled. So what is the problem with this historicistic method? Means this historicistic method, those who believe in this historicistic point of view, they need to attach or they need to link the events that are happening in the future, that are happening in the history, has to be linked with the Bible. But it is unethical, or it is hermeneutically wrong to attach everything that is happening in the world with the Bible. So Bible, this historicistic method fails to understand or fails to give the explanation about these images and these symbols which represents in the history itself. Fourth one is the idealistic method or spiritualistic method. So this method was very much used when nowadays pastors and nowadays preachers very much use this. So they spiritualize everything. Whatever the symbols, whatever the images, whatever the numbers are recorded in the Bible or recorded in the text as a apocalyptic literature, as in the book of Revelation, they always tend to link these numbers or images or structures or symbols with the spiritual aspects. So they say that this is the war between the good and evil. This is the war between the God and Satan. This is the war between the the positive energy and the negative energy. So that's what they believe, these idealistic and spiritualistic methods, and this says that this is the war between the God's word and Satan, and this is the war between the positive energy and the negative energy. So in that sense, these four methods are very much popular in the theological area. So from this point, I personally believe this second method, called as the futuristic point of view, where all these prophecies are going to fulfill in the coming days, as we are waiting for the second coming of Jesus Christ, and the final battle that is going to happen at the place name called Armageddon. So in that sense, I personally believe this futuristic method is very much apt and very much apt to the biblical interpretation, and very much apt to the hermeneutical kind of interpretation. So in that sense, these four methods: futuristic method, futuristic method, historic method, and the fourth one is the idealistic method. So futuristic method is all about the past, and futuristic method is all about the future, and historic method is the continuous process that is from the writer to the end of the age. And the fourth one is the idealistic method or spiritualistic method, where they spiritualize everything, and they says that this is a war between the good and evil, and this is a war between the positive energy and negative energy. This is a war between the God and Satan. This is the war between the God's word and the satanic forces, and this is the war between the God's armies and the satanic armies. And in that manner, the final battle and the final everything will be collapsed when God becomes the victory, and Jesus becomes the king of the whole world, and he is going to rule the whole world with righteousness and justice. So these are the four methods, and we looked at what is apocalyptic literature, what is the apocalypse, and what you mean by the methods that are going to be that are in the interpretation to the Bible and interpretation of the apocalyptic literature. What are those four methods? And we looked at that. So I hope that this video will help you to understand what are this kind of what is apocalyptic literature and what is the apocalypse, and as well as the methods that are used for the interpretation of the apocalyptic literature, as well as the book of Revelation. Thank you so much. Until the next video, may the Lord's hand be with you and with the people who are awaiting for His second coming. Thank you so much, and may God bless over India.